Greetings, Earthlings. I have an update for you on the Type.World project. We need to talk about a few things. I have just been through a very terrible month of work, a month in which I realized that a product of the Google Cloud infrastructure that I've chosen for messaging in the Type.World system was limited to 10,000 users, and I realized that I couldn't even launch with using that service. So I had to implement a messaging server for that's used for notifications in the Type.World app. For example, if a subscription of your fonts um, gets gets an update, your app wants to be notified by that instantly because that improves your user experience, which is the whole point why we're even doing that. I'm done now with that messaging server. It runs smoothly in the background, but the whole episode exposed, I would say, a rather big problem of the Type.World project in its current setup, which is the lack of a sustainable business model. At the moment, it's an open source software, and I am getting financial support for its development at the moment, though very few direct donations from people across the industry. And it exposed the problem that if there is ever a challenging technical issue that I can't solve myself, and therefore need to pay people, or really just continuing its development, then that might be very difficult to pull off financially. I personally don't have savings to, just continue to work on this forever with very little income. Some of you people have actually pointed that out to me, and now I'm coming to the realization that asking for donations is a very shitty business and could possibly be very detrimental to the success of Type.World. So we need to discuss how to pull this off, and for that I've prepared a form, a Google form that I want to ask you to fill. This Google form is mostly addressed at type publishers who want to use the system in the benefit of their users, and not so much directed at end users of the Type.World, at possible potential end users. The discussion comes in two categories. The Type.World system could continue as a enthusiast project backed by donations as it is at the moment, or it could turn into, again, a commercial business aiming to raise fair money for providing services. Now, keep in mind that the software itself and the protocol and all that is open source and will remain open source. And as a colleague of mine has pointed out recently, that will be the insurance that if I fuck up, or the company, a possible company fucks up, that someone else can take the software and the system and start over and continue its development. And if it were to turn into a fair commercial business, then two different business models are thinkable. I'll start with the more radical one. What if we make the users pay for using the app in a subscription model of, let's say, a very low price of $1 per month per user? That could potentially yield a very sustainable income for the project. And then the more expected business model is that foundries pay a fair cost for using the service because they are the ones who are making the business with selling fonts and therefore should contribute to making use of this service. So these and other questions I've prepared in this Google form, and I will also ask you for possibly billable metrics of your business that I will keep confidential, and I'm willing to sign non-disclosure agreements with your company if that's necessary. I'll be happy to, because I need to get an idea of the possible scope of this project, how much basically server capacities need to be provided. And that's especially important now for this new messaging server, which I have implemented myself, which doesn't just automatically scale to infinite instances like other cloud infrastructure that I'm using does. So below this video or in tweets or wherever, you'll find the link to this form. And I'll also be sending out direct email invitations to some of you to please fill in this form if you're interested in the project. And I would be most happy and delighted to hear back from you to get a better understanding of where this could lead. And thanks again for all your support and trust. See you again in the future.